Tonight, on First at 9 this Monday the 8th of December 2025. Monsoon rains. Ditwa claims 635 lives. 192 remain missing. Met Department forecasts more rainfall as the northeast monsoon settles in. Safe as houses. President Derana urges strict action against unauthorized constructions in the wake of catastrophic landslides. No shortage in vegetables in Nuwara. Agriculture Ministry confirms during a meeting with the President. Rapid aid. IMF prioritizes Sri Lanka's rapid financing instrument request over approval for the 6th tranche of the extended fund facility. Helping hand. Health Minister requests India's support to ensure continuous medicine supply in Sri Lanka post-disaster.
Kalin baby soap rupial 90කට. Kalin baby podi හැමෝටමයි.
From Derana, this is Derana First at 9. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
Good evening and welcome to First at 9 on Sri Lanka's premium news provider, Derana News Channel. I'm Tarindu Mahendra joining you live with the latest in Sri Lanka and around the world. We begin with your top story this evening where, according to the latest reports from the Disaster Management Centre, the number of fatalities following Cyclone Ditwa has risen to 635 with 192 individuals still missing. The Department of Meteorology, meanwhile, forecasts rainfall in the northern, north-central, eastern and Uva provinces as well as in the Matale district during the upcoming northeast monsoon season.
Cyclone Ditwa has left many Sri Lankans devastated, causing loss of life and property damage, with many people still reported missing. Among the districts that remained under red alert for landslides, Badulla district stands out as one of the worst affected. A portion of the Belihul-Uya bridge, located on the border between Nuwara and Badulla districts, has been completely destroyed. Additionally, the power transmission system in the area has also been damaged. In the meantime, District Secretary of Nuwara Tushari Thenakone commented on the recommendations made by the National Building Research Organisation regarding the Sripada season.
You can access Sripada via the Hatton Access Road. Access to the Mahamaluwa from Idikatupana is limited. However, the Mahamaluwa can be accessed from Idikatupana via the Ratnapura Road.
Meanwhile, flooding caused by the overflow of River Mahavali has damaged the Kandy Court complex, resulting in the destruction of important documents. Justice Minister Harshana Nanayakara, who visited the court complex today, instructed officials to take immediate action to restore the court complex to functionality. The Department of National Archives also reported that numerous historical documents in the Kandy and Anuradhapura districts have been damaged due to the disaster.
අවුරුදු 100ට වඩා පැරණි ඓතිහාසික ලේඛන තෙත් බරිත වෙලා තියෙනවා. මහජනයාගේ සාමාන්‍ය ජන ජීවිතයට බලපාන අත්‍යවශ්‍ය වන තොරතුරු ඒවත් ජලහානියට පත් වෙලා කියලා වාර්තා වෙලා තියෙනවා. බොහෝ විට පරම්පරා ගණනාවකට බලපාන දෙයක් වෙන්න පුළුවන් ඒ තොරතුරු හානි වීම.
In a recent urgent statement, the Department of National Archives emphasized that freezing water damaged documents is critical to halting further deterioration until proper conservation measures can be implemented. In the meantime, brick manufacturers in Sena Nayakapura Ampara report that approximately 200 acres of land used for brick production have been submerged by floods, with around 100,000 bricks destroyed. They also report significant damage to production equipment and indicate that it will take more than 3 months to resume production. Furthermore, many agricultural lands across several areas, including Dehiyattakandiya in Ampara and Kinya in Trincomalee, have been damaged due to recent floods. According to latest reports, 635 people have tragically lost their lives following Cyclone Ditwa, while another 192 are still missing. The Disaster Management Centre confirms that 234 fatalities were reported from the Kandy district alone, where 81 people remain missing. The DMC also reports that 1,766,103 individuals belonging to 512,123 families have been affected by the adverse weather.
The ආරක්ෂිත කඳවුරු වල ජනතාව යම් ප්‍රමාණයකට
A number of individuals who were housed in safety centers are now returning to their homes. However, the Disaster Management Center urges people to remain in safe locations until we confirm the safety of your area. The relief program is ongoing. The District Disaster Management Unit has informed us that damages caused to residences are being assessed at both the district and divisional levels.
ආරම්භ වීමෙන් පවතින බව තමයි දිස්ත්‍රික් ආපදා කළමනාකරණ ඒකකයේ අපිට වාර්තා කරලා තින්නේ සියලුම ඒකකයන්.
Meanwhile, water is being released from certain reservoirs in preparation for the upcoming monsoon rains.
The spill gates of 30 reservoirs have been opened. In preparation for the upcoming monsoon season, we are reducing water levels by discharging excess water from the reservoirs. Please note, we have not opened the sluice gates to dangerous levels, so there is no cause for panic. Rainfall is expected in districts such as Badulla, Nuwara, Matale and Kegol. Given the heavy rainfall in recent weeks, the soil remains saturated and only a small amount of water has drained away. Even light rainfall could pose a danger. In the event of further rainfall in the coming days, we urge the public to evacuate to designated safety zones. Areas near lakes, rivers, landslide-prone zones or rocky regions remain hazardous. We strongly advise that you stay safe by following our advisories.
As the country attempts to return to normalcy in the aftermath of the disaster, the Department of Meteorology commented on the upcoming northeast monsoon season.
With the northeast monsoon now settling across the island, heavy rainfall is expected. Showers and thunder showers will occur intermittently in the north, north central, eastern and Uva provinces as well as in the Matale district. Rainfall of 50 to 75 millimeters is expected in these areas. In other regions, thunder showers are anticipated after 1 p.m.
තවටනේ නියම මිල සඳහන් ස්විස්ටෙක් නිෂ්පාදන මිලදී ගන්න. ස්විස්ටෙක් ගන්න ඕන හොඳම තීරණය.
The Colombo Kandy Road, previously closed due to landslides, was reopened at the lower Kaduganav area today. Meanwhile, as floodwaters continue to recede, restoration work and infrastructure development are underway across several affected regions.
With the recent inclement weather that ravaged Sri Lanka gradually subsidizing, extensive reconstruction efforts are underway to restore highways, railways, bridges and dams that sustained severe damage. The Colombo Kandy main road, which was restricted over landslide concerns, was reopened for traffic from the lower Kaduganawa area today. Reconstruction work has also begun on the Manampitiya Gallala section of the Polonnaruwa Batiklo railway line. This particular stretch of the railway track was destroyed by floods and landslides triggered by the overspill of the Mahaveli river. Meanwhile, the authorities have begun restoring the road leading up to the Bakamuna Kumara Alla bridge along the Dambulla Mahayangane main road, which was swept away by the overflow of the Ambanganga river. Restoration work on key infrastructure across Sri Lanka has also garnered international support. Notably, the reconstruction of the damaged bridge on the Kilinochi Parantan Mulathiv A35 road is being carried out with the Indian Army's assistance. The Road Development Authority reports that 90% of the damaged road network has now been restored. The RDA further claims that 40 affected bridges across Sri Lanka have been restored.
Of the 40 bridges, 12 have been fully reconstructed, 10 are currently undergoing renovation, and we will be able to provide solutions for the remaining 18 within a week.
Repairs to damaged reservoir embankments and surrounding bunds are currently underway with support from the security forces to expedite the work. During an inspection tour in the Chilau area, Transport Minister Bimal Ratnayaka announced today that the country's public transport services will be fully restored by December 31st.
We are working to restore public life to normalcy. Even if we are not at 100% yet, we are doing our best to reach that level. We are also striving to ensure that every route has a bus driver in place before the 31st of December.
The Ministry of Agriculture assures that there is an adequate supply of seeds available for cultivation and confirms that there is no shortage of fertilizer in the country. Meanwhile, the Minister of Industries urges industrialists to report damages to their properties before the 16th of December in order to be considered for the government's 200,000 rupee compensation payment.
Every hectare of paddy fields, maize and other field crops that were damaged will be compensated with 150,000 rupees. Every hectare of damaged vegetable crops will be compensated with 200,000 rupees. We are currently in the process of collecting the necessary data. As soon as the data is received, compensation will be issued promptly. If a farmer feels that the process is taking longer than expected, they can call our hotline 1918 to obtain the required information. We remind farmers that cultivation must resume by December 20th. There is no shortage of fertilizer in the country. Seed paddy sufficient for 60,000 hectares of paddy fields is available through the Department of Agriculture and private suppliers. Due to time constraints, farmers are encouraged to focus on short-term crops with a cultivation period of 3 months. Since there was a shortage of kiri samba and samba rice, we request farmers to plant these seeds as much as possible. Meanwhile, the Ministry of Industries and Entrepreneurship Development says that in order to receive the government's 200,000 rupee compensation for the restoration of industries affected by the disaster, industrialists are required to report their damages before 2 p.m. on December 16th. A telephone number 071-2 666660 has been introduced to provide information to the ministry regarding industries affected by the disaster.
President Anura Dissanayake emphasises that unauthorised construction must not be permitted and announced that measures will be taken to strengthen pertinent legislation to prevent future violations. Separately, the Ministry of Agriculture confirmed that there is no shortage of vegetables in the Nuwara district and noted a temporary decrease in demand.
President Anura Dissanayake chaired a special coordination committee meeting at the Kurunegala District Secretariat this afternoon to review the measures being implemented to restore normalcy and develop essential infrastructure in the district.
මේ ආපදා තත්ත්වයේ මත පාරිභෝගිකයන් 3,56,528කට අලාභානි වුණා. ඒකෙන් මේ වෙනකොට 3,46,166ක් රෙජිස්ටර් කරලා තියෙනවා. තව අපිට තියෙන්නේ 5,362 වගේ ප්‍රමාණයක්. ඇත්තටම තව සතියක් වගේ වැඩිනේ. ඒ කියන්නේ ජනතාව ගෙවල් වලට ගිහිල්ලා දැන්ට 27 සිද්ධිය සිද්ධ වුණේ. තව දින 7ක් කියන දවස් 17ක් නේ. අපි පුළුවන් ඉක්මනට මේක රෙජිස්ටර් කරමු ගැන.
අධ්‍යාපන අමාත්‍යාංශයෙන් යම් තීරණයක් ගත්තොත් 16 වෙනිදා පාසල් ආරම්භය ගැන ඒකට කිසිදු බලපෑමක් වෙන්නේ නැහැ. 16 පාසල් පටන් ගත්තොත් සියලු පාසල් විවෘත කිරීමේ හැකියාව තියෙනවා. විශේෂ ගැටලුවක් ඉදිරියට අපිට දැනට තියෙන්නේ ඉබ්බාගම අධ්‍යාපන කලාපයේ පාසල් කිහිපයක් පමණයි. ඊට වෙනකොට ජනාධිපතිතුමා අපිට කණ්ඩායම් 6ක් ඉන්නවා. මම ඒකෙන් කණ්ඩායම් එකක් පාසල් වලට යොමු කරන්න බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා. තව කණ්ඩායමක් මාර්ග වලට යොමු කරන්න වෙනවා. ඊටු 4 මේ කඳවුරු විදිහට නායම් පරීක්ෂාවට යොමු කරන්න බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා. සති 2ක් වගේ කාලයකින් ඇත්තටම උපරිම try කරනවා. ඒතර මේ වෙනකොට මට water resource board එකෙන් නිලධාරීන් දෙන්නෙක් ඉන්නවා. මට තව 5 දෙනෙක්ගේ හිගතාවයක් තියෙනවා. මම ඒක කැම්පස් එකත් එක්ක කතා කරපුවාම ඔව් පෙරදින කැම්පස් එකේ ෆයිනලි එකේ ළමයි උනත් ගැටලුවක් නැහැ. ඒකෙදිත් වාහන ප්‍රශ්නයක් තියෙනවා. මට කැප් 5ක් ඕන වෙනවා. එහෙම නැති වුණොත් වෙන්නේ ජනාධිපතිතුමනි අපිට ඒ නාය යන තැනට යන්න යනවා පැය 3ක් විතර.
හරි පුළුවන් අරන් දෙන්න පුළුවන් ඒ ටික. මම විශේෂයෙන්ම අපේ ප්‍රාදේශ සභාවලින් ඉල්ලන්නේ කිසිදු අනවසර තැනක ආපහු පදිංචි වෙන්න ඉඩ දෙන්න එපා. අපි ඒකට නීතිය ශක්තිමත් කරනවා. දැන්වත් අපි ඉතාමත් දැඩි ස්ථාවර තීන්දුව කීපයකට ගියේ නැත්නම් මීට වඩා තවත් ජීවිත, තවත් දේපල විනාශ වීම අනතුරක අපි ඉන්නේ. නැවතනම් කිසිදු තැනක අනවසර ඉදිකිරීමකට ඉඩ දෙන්න එපා.
මම කියන්නේ තර ඉදිකිරීම කටයුතු කරද්දී අපේ නිර්දේශය ලබා ගැනීමට යොමු වෙනවා නම් මේ අවධානය ඇත්තටම අවම කරගන්න පුළුවන්. ඒකත් අනිවාර්ය කරන්න. ඒක අනිවාර්ය කරන එක ගොඩාක් හොඳයි 190%ක්ම මේ ප්‍රශ්නේ විසඳ ගන්න පුළුවන්.
ඒකෙන් ඒ නිවා ගොඩ නැගිල්ලක් ඉදි කරනවා නම් ඒ අනිවාර්ය කරන්න ඕන. අනුකූල සාතිකේ ගන්නකොට ඒක තියෙන්න ඕන. ඊට පස්සේ ගේ හැදුවට පස්සේ සාතිකයක් තියෙන්න ඕන. ඒ සාතිකේ ලැබුණාට පස්සේ CB එකෙන් ලයිට් දෙන්න ඕන. ඉදි කරාට පස්සේ මොකක්ද අපිට තියෙන්නේ? ඉදි කරනකොට අපි පර්මිට් එක දෙනවා. ඉවරලා පදිංචි වීමේ සාතිකේ අනුකූලතාව සාතිකේ ඒක පස්සේ දෙනවා. ඇත්තටම භූමියට ගිහලා බලනවද? ඔව්. ඒ ඔක්කොමත් කරන්නේ අනවසරව තියෙනවනේ. අනවසර නැතිව.
ඒ කියන්නේ චෙයාමන් කෙනෙක් මාරු වුණොත්, ඇමති කෙනෙක් මාරු වුණොත්, ආණ්ඩුවක් මාරු වුණොත් නැවත ඒ කට්ටිය එනවා. ඒකම ඉන්නේ. අන්න ඒවට තමයි අපි මොන හරි ඇත්තටම හදා
ජනාධිපති කාර්ය සාධක බලකායක් පත් කරනවා. මේට අවශ්‍ය වෙන ස්ථීර විසඳුම් සොයා ගැනීම සඳහා අවශ්‍ය වෙන අලුතෙන් නීති හඳුන්වා දෙන්න තියෙන මොනවද? අපි අලුතෙන් නීති තිබුණත් ක්‍රියාත්මක වෙන වගේ තියෙන දුබලතාවයන් තියෙන මොනවද කියලා හඳුනාගන්න වෙන යුනිට් එකක් අපි පත් කරනවා. ඒ යුනිට් එකෙන් අපිට පුළුවන් මෙවැනි තත්ත්වයකට ස්ථිරසාර විසඳුමක් ලබා ගැනීම සඳහා අවශ්‍ය වෙන නිර්දේශන ලබා ගන්න.
Subsequently, the president participated in a discussion at the Nuwara District Secretariat. Officials representing many sectors as well as public representatives, including those representing the opposition, were in attendance.
නුවරඑළිය දිස්ත්‍රික්කයේ මාර්ග 23ක් සම්පූර්ණයෙන්ම අවහිර වුණා. 15ක් විවෘත කරලා තියෙනවා.
අපේ සාමාන්‍ය දල ඇස්ටිමේන්තුවක් තවම නැහැනේ.
මාර්ග බෝක්කු සහ පැතිබෙමි සහ මාර්ගවල හානි වෙච්ච කොටස් වලට බිලියන 14ක් වගේ යයි කියලා අපි රෆ් එස්ටිමේෂන් එකක්.
RDA එක අපිට නිකන් සම්පූර්ණ රටේ ඇස්ටිමේන්තුව වගේ තිබුණේ 190 බිලියන. බිලියන 40ක් දැන්ට වෙන් කරලා තියෙන මුදල් ප්‍රතිපාදන වලින් සපුරා ගන්න පුළුවන් වගේ අදහසක් ඒ පැත්තෙන් ඉදිරිපත් වුණා. ඒ නිසා මේක වැඩ කටයුතු ඔක්කොම පටන් ගන්න අපි අවශ්‍ය වෙන ප්‍රතිපාදන ලබා දෙන්නම්.
අද ඩිසිෂන් එකක් ගන්න මේ වතුවල පාර වලට මොනවද කරන්න ඕනේ කියලා.
ඒ කියන්නේ අපි ස්ටඩි එකක් කරලා අදාළ ආයතන වලට පවර්ලා ඉවර කරන්න.
අපිට මෙහි එළවලු වලට ඉල්ලුමක් නැහැ. දැන් මිල බහිනවා. අද කැරට් 200යි ලීක්ස් 200යි ගෝවා 130ක් වගේ මට මතක.
ඇයි නෑ රටේ ඉල්ලුම තියෙනවනේ ඉල්ලුම මම දැක්කා කැරට් එහෙම ලොකු ගානකට ගිහලා තියෙනවා.
ඒ උනට ඒක බොහොම තාවක එක දවසකට ගියේ 3000කට. ඒක හරි කෘතිමයි. දෙසැම්බර් ජනවාරි කියන්නේ
වැඩි වෙනවා.
වැඩි වෙන කාලේ ජූනි ජූලි තමයි ඊළඟ පීක් එක තියෙන්නේ. දැන් මේ ඇත්තට මිල වැඩි වෙන්න ඕනේ කාලේ.
පිහිටුවේ මේක අනිත් පැත්ත වෙයි කියලා මම හිතන්නේ ආහාර කමිටුවෙන් තීරණය කරලා තිබෙනවා සීතකල එළවලු ගේන්න එන එක නතර කරන්න.
නුවරඑළිය එළවලු ඉවරයි නේද කියලා අහන්නේ. එහෙම එකක් වෙලා නැහැ. සාමාන්‍ය 120ක වගේ අඩුවක් තියෙනවා.
The president also joined an inspection tour at the Raindapola landslide site this afternoon.
The 30% discount on Apico Farm and Spring mattresses available at Apico Supercenter and Apico Daily.
Musa Phoenix Natal Fiesta November 13 සිට 16 දක්වා අනුරාධපුර ස්පොට්නික් ක්‍රීඩා පිටියේදී.
Opposition leader Sajith Premadasa says shortcomings in disaster management have intensified the hardships faced by the public. He made these remarks during a visit to Varakapola, where he met residents affected by the recent calamities and assessed their immediate needs.
Opposition leader Sajith Premadasa visited a safety centre located at Kapugudavatta Tamil School in Galapitagama, Varakapola today to inquire about the well-being of the people housed there.
Even though basic facilities have been provided to people in affected areas, their expectation is not to live in these camps forever. Therefore, a special program must be implemented focusing on reconstructing the residences of affected people. Why wasn't the disaster management mechanism activated following the Met Department's warnings?
Meanwhile, Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna today distributed school supplies to children affected by the recent disaster in Haggala, Raindapola and Nanua areas of Nuwara-Eliya. The initiative was led by the party's national organizer Namal Rajpaksha.
Welcome back to First at 9. The Derana dialogue relief operation for those affected by the recent severe weather enters its 11th day today. Food and other essential supplies collected at the Derana head office from donors across the country are being distributed to affected families. Launched 10 days ago, the relief mission has received overwhelming support from citizens nationwide, with many visiting the TV Derana head office in Colombo to contribute. The operation continues round the clock, ensuring that all donations reach those in need promptly, regardless of the hour. Yesterday as well, the Derana team successfully directed numerous contributions to families impacted by the disaster, reflecting the initiative's unwavering commitment to providing timely aid. In light of Sri Lanka's request for emergency financing, the International Monetary Fund is prioritizing consideration of the rapid financing instrument request over approval for the 6th tranche of the Extended Fund Facility program. Accordingly, an IMF team will visit Sri Lanka in early 2026 to resume discussions on completing the 5th review of the Extended Fund Facility. The support provided under the RFI will be in addition to Sri Lanka's existing access under the EFF program.
The International Monetary Fund says it is considering Sri Lanka's request for emergency financial assistance as the country continues to struggle with the widespread devastation caused by Cyclone Ditwa. IMF Mission Chief for Sri Lanka, Evan Papagiorgio, said the government has sought support under the Rapid Financial Instrument, requesting approximately $200 million. He added that the request is now before the IMF Executive Board and that the fund remains closely engaged with Sri Lankan authorities as they work to recover, rebuild and strengthen resilience. The IMF also confirmed that a mission will visit Colombo in early 2026 to resume discussions on the 5th review of the Extended Fund Facility. The RFI support will come in addition to the ongoing Extended Fund Facility program. Meanwhile, international humanitarian assistance continues to arrive in Sri Lanka. A Chinese cargo aircraft carrying 400 million rupees worth of relief supplies landed at the Derana International Airport this morning. The shipment, weighing over 84,500 kilograms, included life jackets, tents, blankets and bed sheets. The consignment was received by senior government officials, including the Minister of Ports and Civil Aviation and Deputy Minister of Defence, alongside the Chinese ambassador. Meanwhile, opposition leader Sajid Premadasa met Australian High Commissioner Matthew Duckworth in Colombo today to discuss relief needs and the broader impact of the disaster. The opposition leader and the delegation requested assistance for rebuilding infrastructure and restoring livelihoods disrupted by Cyclone Ditwa. A ship carrying approximately 300 metric tons of food for people affected by the disaster situation in Sri Lanka, dispatched as part of India's Operation Sagar Bandhu, arrived at the port of Colombo last night. Another Indian ship carrying 600 metric tons of food and essential items, including clothing, arrived in Trincomalee this afternoon. Meanwhile, Lanka IOC PLC, Seat OS Sri Lanka Private Limited and Seat Kalani International Tyres Private Limited contributed 62 million rupees to the Rebuilding Sri Lanka Fund. Health Minister Dr. Nalinda Jayatissa met Indian High Commissioner to Sri Lanka, Santosh Jha, to discuss strengthening the country's health system in the wake of the disaster. The minister requested the donation of essential medicines to ensure continuous patient care. Meanwhile, the President today appointed a high-level national committee to manage foreign aid received in response to the disaster situation. The government recognizes the importance of properly managing the international aid and relief supplies received in response to this disaster. Accordingly, following discussions, the President has appointed a high-level national committee to oversee this process, including the Additional Secretary to the Disaster Management Division and the Director of the National Disaster Relief Services Centre. We have received a significant amount of aid, including equipment and other essential supplies. The committee's primary focus is to ensure that these resources reach the people who are most in need of relief due to the disaster. The British government has announced aid of £1 million to support relief efforts for those affected by Cyclone Ditwa in Sri Lanka. As part of this initiative, British High Commissioner Teresa O'Mahony visited the Gampaha district office of the Red Cross today to oversee coordination of assistance.
As part of our initial announcement of £1 million support to Sri Lanka, we are working with those families who most need it to provide emergency supplies and life-saving support. In Gampaha here, I've seen communities and families who are facing anxiety and grief. UK support is designed to support them as they get back on their feet safely and with dignity. We're working with the government of Sri Lanka, the International Red Cross, the Sri Lankan Red Cross humanitarian partners and the UN to take forward that recovery process in the coming months.
Justice Yasantha Kodagoda has been sworn in as the acting Chief Justice of Sri Lanka. Justice Kodagoda was sworn in yesterday before President Anura Dissanayake at the Presidential Secretariat. The appointment has been made until Chief Justice Pritipadman Surasena returns to Sri Lanka from his overseas visit. Welcome back to First at 9. The Export Development Board has launched a rapid relief and recovery program to support Sri Lanka's export sector, which has been severely affected by recent adverse weather. The initiative follows a high-level meeting held at the EDB premises, attended by senior officials, including Secretary to the Minister of Industry and Entrepreneurship Development, Thilaka Jayasundara, and EDB Chairman and CEO, Mangala Vijayasinghe.
The Export Development Board in a statement said it has already begun comprehensive damage assessments of the worst affected exporters, with the findings set to guide targeted relief measures. According to EDB Chairman Mangala Vijayasinghe, strategic interventions are now underway to reduce disruptions to export operations, safeguard production capacity and restore supply chains essential for the movement of goods to global markets. The board is also coordinating closely with customs, port authorities and logistics providers to ease infrastructure delays and accelerate export clearances. Special attention is being directed towards helping small and medium enterprises quickly regaining operational capacity. Officials noted that the increasing frequency of climate-related disruptions highlights the need for more sustainable and proactive measures. The EDB says integrating green technologies and climate-resilient practices will be critical to strengthening long-term export competitiveness.
Now in your stock market update, the Colombo Bourse closed in positive territory today as a result of price gains in counters such as Colombo Dockyard, Richard Pearce and Company and Sampath Bank. The benchmark all share price index gained 0.45% to close at 21,594.86, while the more liquid S&P Sri Lanka 20 increased by 0.02% to end the day at 5,926.64. Market turnover was 2.8 billion rupees. The capital goods sector was the highest contributor to market turnover, while the banking sector was the second highest contributor. Foreign participation in market activity remained at subdued levels, with foreigners closing as net buyers, purchasing shares worth 154 million rupees. Up next is Dinuka Dharmasena from Capital Alliance with a few thoughts to round off our Markets in View segment for the week.
Sri Lankan equities closed significantly weaker last week as the SPI fell 5.4% to 21,497, while the S&P SL20 declined 5.4% to 5,925. Trading activity remained relatively flat, with market turnover increasing marginally by 1.5% week on week to 17 billion rupees. Meanwhile, the last week Treasury bill auction raised 15.8 billion rupees, with the 6 and 12 months maturities unchanged and the 3 months maturity recording a 1 basis point decrease.
With that, here's a look at today's foreign exchange rates. That's all for tonight from First at 9. Thank you for joining. Stay safe and have a great night.